Hello, it's Julie from Spellbound, and today I'm going to show you how to make some sweet little snowflake motifs. I'm going to start by showing you this very simple one here, and then we're going to elaborate on that to make a more ornate snowflake like this larger one here. Now you'll see both of these motifs on the Snow Queen bauble design. You'll see that on the Spellbound website, and there you'll also see the snowflake strands. That kit uses this snowflake and an adaptation of this snowflake. Now I've got three very simple materials to make them with. I've got some size 10 seed beads. I'm using a silver line crystal because I want you to be able to see the contrast between this and the size 8 seed beads that I've picked in the pearl. And these are the special ones. I've got some twin beads. Now twin beads are a rice shaped bead and they have two parallel holes. That allows us to do more interesting shapes. As you can see, there's some at the centre of both of these snowflakes. We're going to start with the simple smaller size snowflake. Now in common with all snowflakes, it has 6 points. And obviously all snowflakes are individual, and again you can make yours individual by changing the combination of the beads on the spikes if you'd like to. I'll pop that to one side so I can show you how to begin. Now I've got a length of 9MOD beading thread, and I've got about 1 metre, which is oodles, and I've tied a keeper bead about 15 centimetres from the end. I'm going to start in the centre with 6 twin beads. Now the twin beads have 2 holes, so I'm just going to pass through 6 of them in a row. Bring them down to the keeper bead, and then I pass through the same hole on the first twin bead to bring them round into a circle. Now that was very straightforward, however I do need to reinforce this circle by passing through the same holes again on each twin bead in the same direction to make sure that that circle will hold firm. It's always the same when you make a circle, you need to reinforce it or it can pull apart. I'm going to go 1 bead further on so that I'm away from the keeper bead, which makes it easier for you to see what I'm doing. I'm now going to transfer to the outer set of holes, so that's the second hole in the twin beads. Now I've come out of this side of this twin bead. I'm going to go into the other hole on the same side of the same twin bead. Now you can see it's a parallel hole and it's further out. And when I do that, I make a little strap of thread down the side of the bead that won't really be seen. It's much better to do that than go diagonally across the gap, because you'll tend to pull that bead across and it will distort your beadwork. Right, now for the first point, we're going to need 2 size 10 seed beads, 1 size 8 and 3 size 10 to make the first point. Right, I'm going to move those 3 seed beads away, and I'm going to go back through the size 8 seed bead away from the direction of the stitching, so back towards the centre circle. And as you can see, those 3 beads are going to pull up to make an anchor. The easiest way to get them tight is to hold the beads and pull, and they'll come up nice and tight, and they make a little cluster of 3, which we call a picot. I'm now going to put on 2 seed beads, that's the size 10, and I'm going to go to the outer hole of the next twin bead around and pass through the outer hole on that twin bead. and you can see that my new point has stretched across the gap here, and we've made a little point for our snowflake. So I'll do that again. So it's 2 on, that's 2 size 10, 1 size 8 and 3 size 10, like that. Pull them down, back through the size 8, pull it up nice and tiny. It does need to be tight because you want this to hold firm, and then on with 2 seed beads. We need to look for the outer hole on the next twin bead around and pass through that. And that's 2 points. Now you can see if I repeat that 4 more times, there's my little snowflake. How easy is that? Nice and straightforward, nice and quick, and you can make these into chains or you can have them individually. If you're going to hang it on its own, it's a little bit soft just with 1 pass of thread through, so I would take the needle around again just to make it nice and firm before I finished off the thread. Right, now this snowflake, our basic snowflake, sits at the centre of our more elaborate snowflake. If I put that on the top of there, you can see it's at the centre of our more elaborate pattern. So in the gap here, I've added an extra extension to expand the design. I'm going to show you how to do that. Now at the moment, my needle has gone through this twin bead here, through the outside hole to finish this last spike. I'm now going to move the needle on up through the 2 seed beads that follow, the 2 size 10 through the size 8, and I'm at the bottom of the picot. I'm going to go up the far side of the picot, just 1 bead. There we go. So I've come up the first bead of the picot. I'm now going to add the first part of my new spike, and the spike will take 2 rounds of stitching, so twice around the snowflake to complete. So this will be the first layer, and the first layer is 1 size 10 seed bead, 1 twin bead, 1 size 10, 1 twin bead, 1 size 10. I want to stretch it across this gap, so the closest bead on the next picot that matches this one here is this one here, and that's the 3rd bead of that picot. So it's 1, 2, 3, that's the 3rd bead of the picot. So I'm going to go through there, to stretch my stitch across that gap. Now I need to repeat that in each space, which means repositioning the needle. Now I can't just go straight into that bead on the other side of the picot to move it on, because it tends to fold the picot, and also I want to reinforce my beadwork as I go along. So instead of doing that, I'm going to come down through the size 8, through these beads here to get towards the twin bead on the original snowflake, and I'm going to come up this side of this point and out through the 3rd bead of the picot there. Right, now I'm in the right position to make a filling for this gap here. So it's 1 seed bead, 1 twin bead, 1 seed bead, one twin bead, one seed bead. That's going to fill in that gap. So it's down through the right seed bead, so that's the other side of the picot where the first stitch joined, down through the size 8 that follows it. Then I'm going to go through the following 2 seed beads, working around the original snowflake, and up to emerge from the first seed bead of the next picot. So you can see this stitch went forward, it went that way and down and along, and then this stitch came backwards. Now this is going to be a forward stitch, and we're going to go that way into this gap. Seems a little bit complicated until you actually start the beading. Once you start the beading, it will be much easier to follow, and you'll see how much difference it makes to stiffen the beadwork by coming down through these beads. So it's the closest bead on the edge of the picot on the next spike around, down through and up through. Now I'm going to put a thread path diagram for this at the end of the video, but if you'd like to see the whole pattern laid out, the Snow Queen bauble, which this design is actually based on, is available as a free download from the Preciosa company. So it's Preciosa Ornella, and I wrote the pattern up for them and they have it on their website. You'll be able to download it for free. The link to that is attached to this video in the description. So you can see I'm making progress. There we go. Seed bead, twin, seed bead, twin, seed bead to the closest side of the next picot. Up the edge of the next one. You can see I'm nearly all the way around. There we go. That's the last stitch. Seed, twin, seed, twin, seed. Now some of you won't have used twin beads before, but you might have used super duo beads, which are very similar, and you can use those for this pattern as well. They just make it a little bit more angular. I prefer twin beads, partly due to the cost. They are a lot less expensive, partly because you can get them in so many fabulous colours, and partly because I like the softer finish. Having completed the last stitch of this layer, you can see it's here, seed bead, twin, seed, twin, seed. I've brought the needle back around as though I was going to make the next section, but I've come up the third bead of the picot alongside the stitch I've just completed. I'm now going to add a little point in between the 2 twin beads we've just added. As you can see, this completes the decoration by adding the last layer. I'm going to bring the needle through the seed bead, twin and seed bead, twin of the previous stitch. Now I'm not going through the last seed bead, just those first 4 beads. I'm going to pull the thread quite firmly because this is the last stitch I made and there's a tendency for it to come slightly loose. Now I'm going to transfer to the outer hole on this twin bead. Now as we did it before, I'm going to go through the parallel hole on this twin bead. I pull through and I've got a little strap of thread down the side. Now I'm going to add the point, and the point is 1 size 10, 1 size 8 and 3 size 10, as we're going to make a picot again. I'm going to leave out the end 3, back through the larger seed bead, and pull it down so it's nice and tight. 1 size 10 seed bead, and then I'm going to go through the outer hole of the other twin bead. Now as you can see, I'm going from between the 2 twin beads to the outside of the pair. And as I pull through, you'll see that that creates the point between the 2 twin beads. Now I have to reposition the needle all the way around so that I can add the next point on the next pair of twin beads. So it's down through the other hole in this particular twin bead, so I'm moving to the inside again, through the following seed bead, twin bead and seed bead. Now I'm going to go down this edge, down towards the centre circle, and I'm going to go through the edge of that twin bead, and up we go. Now I'm at the bottom of this twin bead here. I need to come along so that I can get into the top hole of this one. And again I will put the thread path for this as a diagram at the end of the video. Now you can see I've come out of the top hole of this twin bead ready to add the point. So it's the same as before, 1 size 10, 1 size 8 and 3 size 10. Back through the larger seed bead, on with a size 10 and through the outer hole of the other twin bead towards the outside of the pair of twin beads. Just pull that a little bit tighter and you can see that's point number 2. And now I have to get round to point number 3. So it's through the bottom of these twin beads, around here and up that way. Now each of these thread passes makes the beadwork firmer, and that will help this motif to be stiffer, so you'll be able to display it just hanging in free space if you want to, although you might need to take the needle around another time around this very edge row. There we are. We're now at the base of the next pair of twin beads. I pass through the outer hole and we make the point. and that completes the third point on my large snowflake. Now if I bring in the completed one, you can see I just need to repeat that another 3 times. Now following the video, I'm going to put in the more complicated thread paths just so you don't miss out any beads. But I do hope you'll have a go. They're a delightful motif and they'll look super on a card, on a gift tag, or hanging from your Christmas tree. Thank you for watching and happy beading.